Welcome to Success Career Hub, Business Analysis Made Easy. This is a free training that we've started the journey for the past 6 weeks. Today is the 6th week, and our goal is to be able to help ourselves, sharpen our skills as a BA and getting some hands-on experience. We're all learning together, coming together as a community to help ourselves and see how we can advance in this career path. So today, we'll be looking at the topic, how to write effective user stories and acceptance criteria. If you are new to this career path, or you are even new to this topic, this may sound strange. This may be very, very new to you. Basically, we use user stories and acceptance criteria in agile environments for software development. And it's becoming very popular among every project team. And it is very, very important for us to have these skills, develop ourselves very well in it, because it will really help us. Last week, we looked at agile project management overview, and the facilitator dwelt a lot on agile project, agile methodology, and which he later brought streamline it to Scrum. And this is something that a lot of people working in the projects, especially software development projects, they are using for their projects. This is the kind of project document we have, requirement document we have in an agile environment. And it's very key for us to have understanding of this. And we'll also be learning Jira as well this today. I'm not going to facilitate this class. We have in our midst one of our facilitators, mentor, and she has been with us in Success Career Hub from beginning, and she have a lot of experience. In fact, I think 95% of her daily job is on that. She works on Jira, works with doing user stories and acceptance criteria. So she have a lot of experience in this area, and I believe we're going to learn from her. And again, as our custom, all of us, we will be given the opportunity to speak when it's time. For the group that are working on the project, like I said, group 1, I'm here to receive yours. If I have it, we need to add it too. Okay, I think I need to meet everyone, right? If I achieve that. Okay, so I will give the floor now to Olayinka. She is a certified business analyst. She is a certified Scrum Master. She's a certified product owner. And she's working as, I think her role is double, or maybe is it triple? She's a BA. She's working as product owner and also working as Scrum Master. So Olayinka, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I'm going to share my video. Okay. I did some setting and I'm trying to get it out. Okay, welcome to today's session of Business Analysis Made Easy. Just one moment there. Okay, welcome to today's session of Business Analysis Made Easy. As Mr. Benga has said, our focus for today will be learning about user stories, the use of Jira, and possibly, if time permits, the use of Confluence as well. I know that a number of us are already familiar with user stories, acceptance criteria, maybe Jira, maybe Confluence. But based on the assignments we had this week, I was going through, and I know a number of us as we've gone through that. We've been able to develop a number of user stories. We've been able to also work around the acceptance criteria. Today's class is going to be more practical. It's hands-on because especially when we are actually going to delve into JIRA. If we speak all the old grammar from today till next year, without us attempting or going with the flow of how it works, right? The truth is we really won't achieve so much, because after the grammar, when you get on the tool itself, you start looking at it that, okay, how do I navigate? What do I do? What is this, what are they referring to here? What are they talking about here? So it's going to be quite engaging as well, because some of the things we came up with is what we'll use in working through the process. Okay. With that being said, let's delve into this so that we have a lot of time and we have adequate time to actually achieve as much as we intend to. So when you think about user story, like I said, it's highly interactive. So please feel free to throw in one or two comments there. Feel free to ask questions if need be. So basically, but most importantly is the fact that we're going to walk through scenario cases. We're going to walk through case studies of how this will help us, to visualize and help us work around it when we are developing a good user story, because the essence is actually to work on achieving the success of developing a good user stories. As a BA, especially as a BA working in an agile environment, this is one of the things you will be focusing on. And as we know today, most companies are transiting into agile from waterfall, because of course that was brought on very well last week. But most importantly is because they feel that it's more effective than the use of waterfall. So for those that are going to be using agile, you will be dwelling a whole lot on user story. So let's paint a scenario. Let's take, for example, we ladies. You probably have a wedding coming up in a few weeks, and you have Asoebi has been distributed. Somehow you have a picture of what you want as the style to wear on that day. You're thinking, oh, this is something you've been looking forward to. Maybe it's a friend that is, doing the wedding, or maybe it's even your own wedding. You have an idea, you have a pictorial understanding of what you want in the clothes. So when you call your tailor, you tell your tailor, oh, I want this particular cloth. It could be Iran Buba, it can be skirt and blouse, it can be a gown. And in the course of giving them that particular details of the kind of style you want, you tell them the tailor will ask you to come over, that they want to ask a few questions. And somehow you probably have a picture of what you're thinking about. The tailor will ask you, okay, this is the style you're looking into. I can see it has a V shape here. Oh, I can see the hem has butterfly or knitted pleating. Okay, the skirt, I can see it looks like A shape or otherwise. Okay, so in order for me to be able to deliver on this, the tailor will ask you numerous questions. Try to get as many details as they can in order to help them deliver on your desire, on what you want, not on what they want, but on what you have chosen and what you actually tell them that you want. In the course of that, they will take measurements. They will say, okay, in order to be able to achieve that particular style, I think we need to ensure that this place is closed, the centimeters between this and this has to be like this, the inches, those are the details that they get from you. And that's how user stories are, that's how you walk your way into user story. So you've interacted with your stakeholders. Your stakeholders, they could be internal or external stakeholders. You've interacted with them, you've spoken with them, they've given you what they want, they've told you how they want the system to work. Mind you, it's what they want that you're working with, not what you want, not what you think is good for them. It is actually what they want. So when you're coming up with your user story, you have to come up with it with the mindset of the stakeholder, that the stakeholder has said this is what they want. So in that sense, you're working your way through it. You're going about it, giving a concise statement of what you want to deliver, the value you want to deliver to your stakeholder. As we move on, we talk about personals, we talk about how to, think in the realm of that particular stakeholders. So when you're actually walking around there, you're capturing that requirement or the user story based on the need and the value you want to give to the stakeholder at the end of the day. Okay? So when we are developing story, like I mentioned earlier, it's usually utilized in agile methodology. And when you're thinking of user story, you have to make it as atomic as possible. It has to be precise, and it doesn't carry so much details. Unlike when you are writing a BRD. BRD is so many documentation. In agile, go straight to the point. Let's have what you want. And of course, user story are usually logged on Jira. Jira will be talking about, and we'll actually even go through the flow itself at the end of the day. The beauty of user story is it's quite fast. It's quite fast. And in this case, there's really no particular format to use in user story, but the most popular and frequently used is what you have as the who, the what, and the why. Of course, alongside with the user story, you will also, of course, if you write a user story without having an acceptance criteria, of what use is it? Because you've written the high-level requirement or high-level goal of what needs to be achieved. So, okay, you want to sew a cloth, you just give it to the tailor. You choose not to tell the tailor the style or the measurements or how you want it. If the tailor chooses to deliver whatever they deliver, maybe you're a slim person or you're a little bit on the lanky side, and the tailor chooses to do the opposite of your kind of person to you. At the end of the day, if they deliver on it, it's no fault of the tailor. Hello?
Hi.
Go on mute, please.
You.
Thank you.
Don't worry, continue.
All right. So if you choose not to, give the tailor specifics on what you want, and the tailor feels that, oh, this so says she wants to sew a cloth, let me just sew something. Instead of skirt and blouse, they choose to sew an agbada for you. There's nothing you can do about it because you have actually not given them details of the level or the exact thing you want at the end of the day. Supporting models at the prototype, the workflow. I think we had a session on workflow the other day. Someone took us through. So those are the things. It's just a guide. It's like a direction of how you want this to be. The prototype is more or less like the picture, like a picture of something similar to what you've seen. Or if you're someone who can sketch, you sketch out, what you want in the cloth you want them to deliver to you. Okay. So I mentioned earlier that user story is used to capture the stakeholders' needs. Uzodinma.
Yes, please, sorry for cutting you short. A lot of people are complaining they are not able to join the class, that they have exceeded the 100 people to
sorry,
come in.
I am working on that now. I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you. And some people are using the background. If you can mute every person, please.
I think just mute the lady selling bread.
My hands are so many things at the same time. All right, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thanks. Okay.
Please, Olayinka, can you please just undo that mute everyone?
Yeah, sure. I'm working on that. Okay. Hope everyone has been muted. Okay. All right. I think that has been sorted. Hopefully we don't hear any other distractions. All right. So as we were saying before, we had that brief interruption. We mentioned earlier that when you're working around user story, you're capturing the needs of the stakeholders. You're capturing what they want, not what you think is good for them, not what you think you want. Because if you choose to build a solution and it's very sophisticated, is beautiful, it has all the grandeur you can think or imagine, and you deliver it to your stakeholder. And, upon seeing it, they try to work around it, but they do not understand what you've given to them, or they don't even understand the need. They can't see the value in what you've presented to them. No matter how beautiful or how nice it looks, at the end of the day, you have not delivered value to that customer. You have not delivered value to that client or the stakeholder. So you want to ensure that when you're thinking about the solution you're coming up, you're thinking of it from the perspective of the stakeholder, not from your own view or perspective. User story is actually used, it helps in estimating. Now, maybe in the course of this conversation, we can talk a little bit about estimation, maybe. It also helps in planning the solution. So because it's itemized, because it's broken down, it's a planning process. So when whoever is trying to work around it sees it, they understand the steps that they need to take in order to deliver that value. Of course, it's for you to actually even work around a UAT. UAT was talked about, was delved a little bit into last week. You need to have user stories and the acceptance criteria, because it is what you have actually written that will help you, that will work, that you work with in generating the UAT itself. Of course, it is the metric for delivering the value at the end of the day. As a unit for it's something you use for tracing related requirements. We'll delve into that as we move on. So when you do this, maybe when you've spoken to your tailor, you've given them your requirements, you've given them how you want your clothes to be, they deliver it, and somehow maybe the hem is a little bit tight, or the neck is not the way you actually described it to be. You tell the tailor gets the clothes back. They work on it. So at the end of the day, it's more like the tailor doing additional analysis based on the feedback you have given to them. And of course, they deliver on that based on that. It's also a unit for product management and reporting. We'll delve a little bit further as we move on into some of this. So you're talking about user stories, we're talking about how we want to write it. We're talking about how it should be. When, if you remember, I mentioned some things earlier that when you're thinking about user stories, you're thinking about it from the perspective of the stakeholders. You're thinking about it from different angles. Now, there's something we call the definition of done. When you're trying to write a user story, you need to think about it. Okay, given this high level, because the user story itself is a high level requirement that you've written. So given these high level requirements, given this user story that you've pointed out, at the end of the day, what will make it the solution that I've actually asked for? Okay, so if this is delivered, if the developer chooses to go through and they deliver this, does it meet that requirement that I actually outlined? Does it meet the definition of done for me from the business analysis perspective, from the business product owner's perspective, from the developer's perspective? Does it meet the definition of done? And the number of things, the number of discussions that goes into this as well when you're trying to get that out. So you want to ensure that when you're writing it, you're considering that that does this, when they're done with this, has it been completed? The tasks that are actually outlined, have they actually completed it? And that is when your definition of done is achieved. You outline it into tasks. And we will talk about that. Those are the different, sometimes we call it ACs, sometimes, there are other tasks that comes beneath it as we move into the project, as we move on. Maybe they're working on it and, something is realized that, oh, this is missing. You come in, you put it in again, and they walk through. We'll go a little bit further into that. So I did mention that when we are thinking of user story, we're thinking of it from the perspective of the owner. And this is where you think about, who am I building this for? Is the person a male? Okay, is the person a techie person? Is the person within a age range? Okay, let's take, for example, the website we're trying to work with. Who is our target audience for that website? Are they within this age range? Are they techie? Do they understand the use of technology? Can they walk around, trying to get the different processes on the website? Can they try to click on things and actually walk through the end to the end and ensure that that process, they walk through it from the start to the end, not that in between they are lost. You won't need to have this personnel in mind while building these stories. That these people, okay, this user story that I'm writing, is it for an admin? Am I writing it for a client? Am I working around it for an employee? Depending on the sector you're working in. Am I doing it for a developer? Is it for an analyst? You're thinking of different categories, of the different type of people that you're writing it for. Take, for example, I work in an HR sector. Once I'm working around user stories, I'm thinking of my client. Sometimes I'm thinking of the employee. Sometimes I'm putting on the cap of the admin. Sometimes I'm thinking of the HR analyst. Sometimes I'm thinking of maybe the accountant or the financial person. So depending on the user story you're writing, and we'll see some of the examples as we move on. I mentioned as well that it has to be as atomic as possible. So you're not writing too many words. You're not writing too many stories, maybe going into paragraphs. No, you're writing as small as little as possible, because each step of the user story is also it goes into a larger process. So when you write a user story, there comes the acceptance criteria that you need to outline underneath it. Okay. Feedbacks. I made mention of you taking your clothes to the tailor and it's not meeting, the exact thing you want. At the end of the day, realistically, the tailor has not really delivered value to you until he actually meets what you want. So you're giving the tailor the feedback that, oh, you made this way. The skirt is not as long as I want. Oh, the fish shape, it looks like it's in A shape. That is actually not what I actually requested for. Can you take it back and work on it? Those are the feedback. So when you're thinking of user stories, those are things that will come into play. Okay. Also time. So when you're working, by the way, as a business analyst, even though you're the one working or writing the user stories, input from the team is what will actually make your user story usable. The agile team consists of the product owner, the developer, and the scrum master. The developers can be interwoven. You can have the front end, the back end. You can have the QAs. They're also part of the developers team because those positions are not called out, in Agile, so in Scrum. So you want to ensure that developers inclusive is the business analysts, the QAs, and all that. And if you're working around this user story, everyone needs to be in agreement on what you're working on. So you also want to think about the time. That's okay, since the sprint, depending on the sprint you work with, If it's a 1 week sprint, I know people work with 1 week. If it's a 2 week sprint, which is a very common one, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it can be between a week to 4 weeks. You want to ensure that what you're writing and the number of user stories you're putting in, it's going to be done at the end of that sprint, so that you don't have it sent back depending. But we're going to get into that as we move on. Okay. So I did mention this earlier, that there's no mandatory structure around user story. However, when you're thinking about it, you want to think that, who am I doing it for? What is it? What do they want in it? Is it what action? What feature are they looking to deliver? Why? Of what use is this user story, to them? So when you're thinking of it, you're thinking of as an admin, I need to have access to so that I can assign to this. As a potential party goer, I need my clothes to be in this exact fit so that I can be the best dress on that day. That's what you're thinking about when you're thinking of that. So I've discovered that this format is actually, it helps you not to go out of line of what you're writing. I've seen a few user stories, and at the end of the day, I saw that they missed some steps. When we circled back and said, okay, let's write it using this format, it helped us know the concise things we want to deliver on. So using this format, I can attest to it over and over again that it has been of great, it helps you deliver a concise message on what you want to have on your user story. Okay. The example we have there says, as a user, I want to be able to log into my account so that I can print my account statement. So as a who is that person? Is the person what type of user? User is more like the generic word we use. Sometimes you want to be very, very precise. Okay, as a shopper, okay, as an admin, as a developer, maybe they're building something for developers, or as a student, I want to be able to log into my account so that I can view my courses, so that I can do this. The login is the feature you're trying to do. The login bit of it is the action that is required that the user wants to do. So that at the end of it, they are able to deliver, to do what they want to do. Because if you write a user story that does not go in line with what they want, is of no use. So if what the user wants is they want to be able to print statement of account, and based on the user story you choose to write, the developers build something and there is no statement of account there. Maybe there's a statement of account tab or section, and they click on it, but there's no statement of account coming up because you've not built what they want. At the end of the day, you haven't delivered on that. Okay, these are a few examples of user stories used in the fintech sector. So we'll go further into that. We'll take the first two and break it down. So we're all familiar with fintech apps, going from the Flutterwave to even the conventional banks and all those, the various apps they have, and we have they actually shared for us to install. So we have user stories. So for each of those apps, we can actually break it down. So they said the commercial system came together and they said, okay, we need to build applications for users of our banking, for our bankers or those who bank with us, and the users to be able to do a specific task. In this case, we have user stories for transferring money. So in your head, as a user, what do you want to achieve? User story for withdrawing cash. Under that user story, the number of acceptance criteria that will come beneath it. User story for checking your account balance. User story for depositing money. User story for contacting customer services. There are a number of them. I actually chose this particular one because I know most of us, we actually use app. For those in Canada, you have an RBC app or a Scotiabank app or a TD Bank app. For those in Nigeria, you either have the Flutterwave, the VBank, the GT, the Access, and the like, Zenith. And most of these apps, you can relate to the user stories that we have on this slide. Okay, so the first one says, as a what? You can see they called out that user. Who? The who is clearly underlined. As a regular fintech app user. Now, if you notice that they did not say as a customer, because customers can cut across different categories. Customer can be my 80-something-year-old dad, or a 100-year-old grandpa, or even a child, my 8-year-old son. It can be a customer of the bank. But the question is, does he use a fintech app? So when I'm writing the user story, I am taking it down to the specific person, not a collective, not everyone. I'm not writing the user story to satisfy everyone's need at that particular time. I'm writing it for just a particular sector. So in this case, the people that we are focusing on are those who use fintech, the application developed by the fintech sector. So as a regular fintech app user, I want to transfer money. That is the thing they want to do. That's the feature. That's the action they are looking to take. I want to transfer money from my account, from my bank account, to another account using the fintech mobile app so that I can easily manage my finances and pay my bills on time. Are we are we flowing? It seems I'm talking too much. Hello? Can I have someone?
Yeah, they are
Okay,
responding. They are responding.
All right, awesome. Great, thank you. So you need to actually put on the cap of the person you're targeting. Remember the personnel that we mentioned. The persona is talking about this particular sector, this particular category of people. It's not generalizing it. It's not putting it in the concept of as a bank user. No, as a fintech app user. The acceptance criteria, will go into that later. Now, this is another user story for withdrawing cash. Using the same fintech application. As a regular fintech app user, the who, I want to withdraw cash from my bank. You can withdraw cash from your bank using the ATM. That is not the target here. That's not the purpose here. You can withdraw cash from your bank using a POS agent. That's not the purpose here. The purpose is you want to withdraw cash from your bank account using the fintech mobile app so that you can easily withdraw out cash even without using my card. So when you're thinking of writing a user story, a good user story, you need to put on the cap of that particular user. That is the way it's going to help you. That's how you can actually have a very sound user story. Put on the cap of that particular user, not a general user, not everyone, because you're actually not building it for everyone. That you need to know. Whatever you're building is for a particular set of people. And those set of people is the people you need to focus on when you're thinking of writing your user story. Okay, let's move on. Now we're moving into the second bit of this, which is the acceptance criteria. We've spoken a lot about the user stories. We've said everything, the high level summary of what you need to put into it. However, writing a user story is not enough. If you write a user story or you know what you want to do, how are you going to be sure it's actually meeting the needs of that user? Right? If you write a user story and you give it to the developer, what is the developer meant to do with it? What do you want them to achieve? So when you're writing a user story, you need to ensure that you have your acceptance criteria there. Acceptance criteria are a unique way for each of the user story feature to be defined from the end user's perspective. From the end user's perspective, not from your own perspective. Not you thinking, oh, this is how it should be. It's actually going to be better for this person this way. So imagine your tailor. You know the taste, you know how it is. Your tailor feels, oh, this is how this person is. Oh, let me sew it this way. It's going to look nice on her. And at the end of the day, you go there, you collect your clothes, and it's the opposite or far from even what you want. So you need to be thinking of the end user's perspective or their own mindset when you are developing your user story. I did mention earlier that it has to be testable. So when your QAs, when they're trying to ensure that, okay, let's not, before we even go to the QAs, you yourself, when you're trying to ensure that, okay, this is what I've given the developers to work on, I've given them the user story, I've itemized their acceptance criteria, oh, they've delivered on it, it's been pushed out. Let me test and see that it is actually what I gave them based on what I gathered from the stakeholders. Let me see if it actually meets it. So at that point, you would need to check, okay, this is what you said, good, you tick it. Same thing with the QAs. When the QAs are testing, they actually test based on what you have written. I've had instances where QAs will message me and tell me that, oh, you actually wrote that this, so I'll give a practical example. I think a few weeks ago, I wrote a particular thing on a particular page on our site that this is how, I can't remember the exact thing, but this is what I want them to write, as in the box, maybe something about submit. I can't remember. And when the developer was developing, he wrote something else. Now, when the tester was testing, he saw that what I wanted is different from what, he's seeing on what was built. So, and these are ways you get feedback. So, I got a mail and he said, oh, I'm working on this ticket, on this issue. It can be called ticket. It can be, we'll get into it when we get to Jira. I'm working on this, and I can see that your acceptance criteria, said this is what you want written on this, but this is what we have. He sent, he took a picture and sent to me and said, is this what you actually want? Or this is all what you have in your AC is actually what you want the developer to do. So I told him that, oh no, the exact thing I wrote on that AC is what AC is acceptance criteria, by the way, is what I want the developer to deliver on. So, and for that particular user story to, walk through and ensure that it's passed, that thing must be delivered on. What we have on that AC, on the acceptance criteria, everything that I have there must meet it. It must meet and remember when we said the definition of done, it must meet that definition, else it's going to fail the testing process. It also should be atomic, like Carmen said, you don't want to write too many stories, and you really want to look at it from different angles. It's agile to start with. Agile is not Scrum. Agile is not about you documenting too many things. Be precise, go straight to the point, make it as minute as possible. Because when you're looking at it, developers are not ready to start reading so many stories because they can choose to read the story and they're interpreting it in a different way. So you want to write it in a way that is concise and small to ensure that even without being a developer, anyone who is looking at it can see that this is what you actually want to have. This is what you are working to deliver on. Okay. So we have a few examples of user stories here. Then we'll delve as we go. We move and we get into the acceptance criteria. Okay, so this is the user story, and this is the acceptance criteria that we have here. The user story says, as a user, I want to be able to recover the password. So in the case of the website, the child apparel website that we are building, you say, as a so user, mention the name of the feature you are getting on. I want to be able to recover, because a user can be anyone. It can be someone who is using another site. It can be someone who is using another application. You want to be precise. I want to be able to recover the password to my account so that I will be able to access my account in case on the line, just in case I forgot the password. So you have the scenario. The scenario is actually the headline of what you're trying to achieve, forgot password. Given that when the and so and is the linking word, is the conjunction word you use just in case you have more than the scenarios you want them to say or the steps you want them to take. So this one says, given that the user navigates to the login page, and I usually recommend that people should use this. It doesn't, when you use this particular method, like I said, there's no given method to how you can write it. But I've come to discover that using this particular given when then method actually helps to be concise and to not derail from the exact thing you want to achieve. So this one says, given that the user navigates to the login, what is the action? When the user selects forgot password option. And so when the user select forgot password option and there's no hand there, let's go to the next one. Let's not go through the hand. Then the system sends, so what is the system sending the link to? So you see the essence of ensuring that you are going in steps. You're taking it one step at a time. If you say, okay, they click on the forgot what password option. So what's the next step? After that, what is the user going to encounter? What are they going to see? So when the user clicks on forgot password, they enter a valid email. When they enter the valid email, the essence of entering the valid email is to receive a link for password recovery. And the user enters a valid email to receive the link. Then what happens? Then the system sends the link to the entered email. Then what happens next? This is another line. After the user has gotten the link to the entered email, the user receives the email, the link via the email, then the user navigates through the link received in the email. Then what happens next? Then the email redirects them to a site or a page, a new page. So what happens afterwards? On the new page, what are the next steps that applies? When they get to that new page, they can see, oh, change password. Or, depending on the system, depending on what the product now or the sponsor wants them to see on how they want it to be. Okay? So we'll go through another example. Sorry. Just a minute. So this is just talking about the same thing we just mentioned, the given, when, then template. The given, when, then. Like I would reemphasize that there's no given format. You can choose to develop it you can choose to write your story anyhow you want it to. But I've just come to deliver that this way, given, when template for acceptance criteria is quite effective, and it helps you to stay on course and not to derail from the conversation that is being, from the course, from the value you're trying to give to the customer. Okay. Just a minute, please. I have a question here. Why not as a registered fintech? Why not as a registered fintech app? I'm not sure I quite understand that question, Biodo. So just in case you want to rephrase that, please, I would gladly entertain that. Okay. So there are different types of acceptance criteria. Like I said, we have the scenario-oriented, we have the rule-oriented, we have the custom format. But in the course of this journey, we'll just go with the scenario-oriented. There are different ones, and you can choose to, like I said, can choose to customize your own format and go with whatever you feel is good for you or your company or your team. But I'm always on the side of the scenario-oriented acceptance criteria. So in this scenario-oriented, it's what we actually laid emphasis on in the previous slide. You have the giving, the when, the then. And the approach was actually inherited from the behavior-driven development. That's another this thing on its own. To say that the acceptance criteria template should include what's the scenario, what do you want to do? What is the behavior? Giving, you state the beginning of the scenario, the when, the then. The hand is just the conjunction, just in case you have more than 2-3 conditions that you feel they need to meet, in order to achieve the end result of that acceptance criteria. I will jump this. I think we'll just go into another example of the given when template. 1 minute. Yeah. So this is another one. It says this is another given when example template. And this is something you can always use. The given is the precondition, the when is the something you want, while the then is usually the result. I'll give us as an example of one of the ones I have currently. Just 1 minute. So I'm currently working on a project. We're trying to add an additional feature on what we have for clients. So one of the acceptance criteria I have written here says that given that I am a so-so-so and I have navigated to so-so-so page. Sorry, for security reasons, I can't mention the name of the project. I have navigated to so-so-so page. When I check the so-so-so box, then I have the options to do 3 things. Now, this is like a pin. I'm hitting it on the head. Given that I have navigated to so-so, I am a so-so. Now, where I currently operate, we have different type of users. We have users that have access to some things. We have users that have limited access. Some of them we call them site admin. Some of them we call admin. Some of them we call employee. Some of them. So when you're writing it, you're thinking, this acceptance criteria, is it for everyone? Is it for the site admin? Because if it's for the site admin, that means the admin has access to the whole page, to that page that I'm referring to. If it's for admins that they assign roles to, it's limited. So I need to call out that particular admin to say that this admin, no, they cannot access this, but if it's so. So you want to be specific as to who the role, the person who should have access to it, given that so. When they get on this place, or when they navigate, or when they are on this page, or depending on what you're trying to achieve for your stakeholders, then they can do this. They can actually take this action, or they can see this. It can even be something you want to display. It can be something you want them to see. Then they can see this. But for them to see it, they have to go through some other actions. Okay, sorry, let me just take question there. Why are you using the given when then as a user story? Yeah, I mentioned earlier that there's no given rule. You have different you have different formats of writing your user story. You can use the scenario, which is the given when then. You can use some other ones. You can also customize your own user story. There's no given rule. It depends on what you want to achieve. If the other rules work better for you, all well and good. And mind you, when you get to a particular organization, you also look at, you want to see how they work around their user stories or acceptance criteria. You want to ensure that you don't derail from what they are used to. So if you get into an organization and this is the format they use, you also want to stick to that. If you get into an organization and the way they write the acceptance story is, in a different format, you want to stick to that because they're already used to that format. So you want to learn on that journey and say that, okay, this is the way, this is how I'll write my acceptance criteria, so that because they're already used to that system, I can adopt to the use of their own method. If you get to an acceptance criteria and, they're using something different, they have a custom way of doing things, you adapt to that. You adapt to that. The number of things you would see as you join organizations, as you join, some other things. There are things you feel that, oh, this is how it is. It's usually not cast in stone. It's usually not it. It's going to be tailored based on what's applicable in your industry or in the company or in the environment you find yourself in. There are things that I thought that, oh, this is how it's done based on where I'm coming from. This is how they use it. But when you get into that system, it's different. So I just want to reiterate that the given, when, then template for acceptance criteria is not the only format. And it's not, how will I put it? It's not what you must go with. You can choose to build your own. You can choose to work around it, as it pleases you. Okay. Okay, so with that being said, I would like to accommodate 1 or 2 questions. I'll give us another example because the next thing we are going into is the use of Jira itself. So I'd like to accommodate 1 or 2 questions in regards to what we've been talking about so far, so that we can spend more time on navigating Jira and then possibly Confluence. Okay? Please, the floor is open. Questions? Questions? Yes, the given, when, then is for acceptance criteria, not user story. Not user story. The given, when, then is for your the user story will say as and so I want to do so that that's your user story. Acceptance criteria is given, when, then. Okay, questions, please. Questions? Yeah, you can raise your hand. I think Mr. Gbenga can unmute you if you want to ask questions.
Well done. I really like the explanation, but I think the confusing thing is just that when you are talking about the given, when, then, you mistakenly said it was for user story instead of acceptance criteria, but you later said it that it's
pardon me, that brought about some.
That was where the mix-up came in, and that was where the questions.
So pardon me, like I said, please, I'll reiterate, apologies for that mix-up. User stories, what you have in user stories as a so. What do you want to do? I want to do so that. That's the template for user stories. What we're talking about now is acceptance criteria, and that's the given, when, then. Pardon me for the mix-up. I think I just, okay. So it says, how do we ensure we do not expose our organizations during the interview when giving the interviewer an example of the projects we have participated? So the reason why, okay, so I can't talk about this particular project because it's not yet out there. That's why. For the things I've done and is in the public space, I can freely talk about it. But this particular one is still in the work. Let me use that word. In fact, we're still going back and forth on a number of things. That's why I cannot push it out there. It's a new feature that we're adding. And if I talk about it, can give the competitors, an advantage over that. So that's why. But for past projects that I've worked on, I can freely talk about it. If I have anyone that I can cite an example from, I would gladly take it up and share. So yes, you can talk about things you've spoken about, but not ongoing projects that are still made confidential within the organization itself. Moshood, I hope that answers it. All right, Dima says, is given, when, then done during testing or during user story documentation. So I did mention that what's the use of a user story without your acceptance criteria? What's the use of telling your tailor that I want to sew a cloth. I want to sew a skirt and blouse. As a party goer, I want to sew skirt and blouse so that I can slay, or so that I can be the best dress. Okay, so when you've given your tailor that user story, what should your tailor do? What type of style are you looking to sew? What kind of skirt are you looking at? The measurement, how do you want the neck to be? How do you want the blouse to be? Those are your acceptance criteria that you outline in addition to your user story. I hope that answers it, Dima. So when you're now testing your clothes, and you see that, okay, yes, I told her this is how I want the hand to be. Oh, yes, it makes sense. Oh, you tick it. Okay, she got it here. Oh, I told her I want an A type of skirt. Oh, no, she gave me fish. Oh, so this is wrong. So while doing your UAT, that user story has failed when doing your AT and when the QAs are testing as well, because she missed a point. She missed one of the ACs. I gave a scenario of when I was one of the projects I worked on recently. I actually told in the user story, I told I wrote a particular thing I wanted them to write. But maybe in the course of developing the developer just wrote something in the reverse of what I gave. So when the QAs were testing, I hadn't done my own testing. When the QAs were testing, they saw that, oh, this is what we have on the acceptance criteria. This is what the developer did. Is this what you said they should do, or you want them to work with what you wrote on the acceptance? I told them, no, they have to stick with what I actually wrote on the acceptance criteria. So on that basis, that particular user story failed the QA testing. Okay. Is this documented separately or with BRD? Okay, so when I started the class, I did mention that user stories and acceptance criteria are usually used in the Agile methodology framework. This is different from the use of BRD. BRD is usually utilized in waterfall. Acceptance criteria, user stories are for the Agile environment. So when you're working so depending on where you find yourself, some companies, they are still working in using the waterfall methodology, while some are using hybrid, while some are strictly Agile. So depending on where you find yourself, if you find yourself going in the Agile way, this is what you'll be using as your documentation means. Okay. Okay, I should take it back to so the question says, is it a must to back up the acceptance criteria with a small diagram? And it's not a must. It's not a must. However, you want to ensure that, because when the developers are working, I'm sorry, but I usually use this word, I jokingly tease our developers that I see them as robots. Like there's a way they work and they're not thinking of the words you are putting together, because they are doing codes, right? That's what they are doing. It's not whatever you have, as in, it's really, so when you're trying to get a feature on and you have a pictorial, a prototype or a workflow, it helps them understand better. It helps the developer understand better and reduces so many questions. That way they know that, okay, this is where, based on what you gave them, this is where the login should be. Not that, okay, you told them, oh, the login should be on the extreme right, and somehow they can't figure out how to extreme right is. They put it somewhere in between the middle and the right. But when you have that prototype, it helps them, it gives them a clear picture of what you want them to deliver on. Okay. I'll just take a few more so that we can go on and achieve the whole thing we planned for the day. We talked about when writing the user story, you only have the stakeholder. I want to believe that the user is also part of the stakeholder. Of course, absolutely. Absolutely. Your users are they are part of your stakeholders. For you to actually want to do something, they are the ones you have in mind. They are the ones you you probably have spoken to, maybe by the use of interview or somehow. You're the ones that told you, okay, this is what we want you to deliver based on this feedback. Can you help us? So take, for example, the project I'm currently working on. Our project management, product manager spoke with the clients and they told us, oh, this feature would be nice to have. As in, it will help us do this, it will help us do this. Okay, so when you mean this, so the product manager has already spoken to them to say, okay, this is what the clients are looking forward to having. They bring it on. We have a brainstorming section that, okay, based on what the client wants, okay, how do we go about it? Why do they want it? What business value is it adding to us? You know, those are questions. So yes, they're a major, not just part, they're a major part of your stakeholders. One more, and let me just. So I'll just take this last one, then if time permits, you can, go back to the other questions. Is there a scenario when a user story has more than one acceptance criteria? So Moshood, realistically, your acceptance criteria is usually not one. It can be as much as 5. It can be, it can be just one. But most often, it's usually more than one. Because you're giving step-to-step basis of what you want them to work on. Let me see if I can give, based on what I've done in the past, let me see if I can give a practical example. Just one moment, I'm trying to access my work laptop. I'll give us an example now. We have that already out there, so it's not a problem. Just in case I can't access it on time, we'll move on, then we'll come back to it later. Just one moment. So I'll just give this example. It's a pretty straightforward one. I'll tell us what we're looking to achieve, how we went about it, and how we delivered on it. Just a minute, please. Okay, let me even give a generic one we did of recent. It's relatable. So, you know how this country is, right? So, clients have been requesting that we update the gender field to include some additional genders. So naturally, you have the male and female, right? So what we had before was male, female, and gender diverse for our own companies, for our own clients. So clients were requesting that they needed some more added to it. So we had to include 2 other fields. And I would give you how I went about that. So I'll give you 2 scenarios. I can see one, I can't see the other yet. And let me see if I can find the other. So, okay, beautiful. Is that it? So they requested that we added 2 additional fields. What are the 2 additional fields? Non-binary and choose not to disclose. Now, you will think it's just pretty straightforward. In fact, I learned on this particular one, I knew what complication was because a whole lot of things came up. So I have this thing that as an admin, I want the employee to have non-binary. Now, this is the user story. As an admin, because it's the admin that is overseeing that thing. So on our own end, we have the admin portal, we have the employee portal. So as an admin, I want employee to have non-binary and choose not to disclose as a gender option so that they can have more options to pick from. That was the user story. Now, under this user story, I had about 5 acceptance criteria. Given that I am an admin with so access, I can't share that. I'm sorry, it's on my work laptop. I'm just giving a practical, a hands-on experience here. I'm just saying it based on what I've done recently. Given that I am an admin with so access, I have navigated to the employee profile. When I review the gender dropdown, then the options should have the below. So I wrote details of all the options: male, female, gender diverse, non-binary, choose not to disclose. Given that I am admin with so access, when the gender option has been defined, then it stays at any of the available options and should not go back undefined. Now, specifics, that's the acceptance criteria 2. Acceptance criteria says, given that I am an admin with so access, when I select a preferred option, then I should be able to save the selected option. Now, that's another acceptance criteria because it's not just me having the drop down, including the gender field drop down. What happens afterwards? So what if I include it and I pick choose not to disclose or non-binary or male, and I exit from that particular page? What happens? So those are all the details you want to include. Given that I am an admin, when I pick an option and I navigate out of the page without saving it, then there is a discard change modal. Now, that is to say that when I have chosen the option that I want and I save that option, right? And in the course of saving it, maybe something happens, I'm exiting the page. What happens? I should get a prompt to that effect to remind me that, oh, you're getting out of it. That's what we call the discard change. The modal is just a small prompt that comes up. Given that when I assign a tax, so that one is an entirely, because these things are linked together. But in this particular one, I had 5 acceptance criteria. In the course of doing this work, I thought it ended there, but no. When we got into our estimation meeting, that's another story entirely. And we were talking about it, developers were like, oh, have you thought of so? What is it? Importers. There's another thing. Oh, root site change. So there are a lot of conversations that goes around in that space. But for what we are trying to focus on today, it's the user story and acceptance criteria and the use of JIRA. So we won't go deep into all those ones. But what I'm trying to say is that under each user story, you can have as much as 5 or more user stories, but you also don't want to have so many. The moment you want to ensure, one thing you need to put in mind when writing your acceptance criteria is this testable? So that when the QAs are testing it, does it meet the end result of what we want to achieve? Because sometimes when you write too much as well, the QAs will tell you that, oh no, this is not making sense. We can't test it alongside this. So you need to break down that acceptance criteria and probably create another user story for it. So when you're writing your acceptance, you need to ensure that the QA can actually pick and test, and at the end of the day, they can say, okay, yes, it actually meets what we want to achieve on this user story. Same thing with the developers. The developers can go through your acceptance criteria and say, oh no, this is too much, or no, we can't do this together. You have to create a separate issue or ticket for this. And like I said, but the main thing is, in most cases, you usually have more than one acceptance criteria. Okay, let's move on into JIRA so that we don't take too much time. Then we can go back into this. We can open the floor and have conversations around acceptance criteria and user stories. Okay, JIRA. So JIRA is going to be more practical. We're going to be using some of the acceptance criteria and user stories we have penned down in the course of getting our assignments done. That way we can relate to it easily. I won't talk too much. I won't say too much because, like I said, if we say all the words on the use of Jira from today till next day, and we don't go into Jira itself to understand how we navigate the different places, it really wouldn't make sense. So based on the project we're working on, which is Chad Apparel, we will use it. We'll also break it down. We'll delve a little bit more into acceptance career and user stories as we, use Jira. We'll talk about the different components and bits so that when we get to our various places, we can also utilize it. We can go into Jira ourselves and navigate the different options available. Okay. So as we all know, Jira is what Jira is. Jira is the software application used for tracking issues and project management. And Jira is usually utilized in an agile environment. For those using agile methodology, you most likely will use Jira. Now, Jira is not the only thing that they use. Some other companies use Azure, but Jira is the most popular tool that is being used in the agile environment. Now, when you're talking about Jira, you talk about things that have to do with stories. I won't really go into details of this so that we can, or we just go on. Okay, since I said it's more practical, let's just head on into the most important thing. So I'll just reach through this. So, like I said, Jira is for the agile team. So as you can see, I have a picture here that says this is the product owner. So in Jira, we have what we call the backlog. We have the sprint backlog. We have the product backlog. So yeah, the product owner puts or it can be a business analyst, it can be a product owner, it can be whoever, a product manager, depending on what works with your company. So you put what you want into the product backlog. While you are doing that, you have a sprint planning meeting. In the course of your sprint planning meeting, you move items, prioritized items. That's items, the things you want to do, the features you want to achieve at the end of the sprint. You move them into your sprint backlog. And depending on the duration of your sprint backlog, between 1 to 4 weeks, sprints, depending on what your company does, you do a 1 week sprint. At the end of 1 week, you want to ensure that what you have prioritized and moved into this backlog is actually done. At the end of 2 week sprints, same thing. And once it's done, you move into the space. Once you move into the space, you have what they call the sprint review. In the course of your sprint review, you talk about the products you deployed or delivered, depending on. So once you speak about that, you go into the sprint retreats. Now, these are the different ceremonies, by the way. These are the different ceremonies that are applicable to an agile environment. So once you're working, after the sprint review, you have the sprint review with the stakeholders to demo. So you demo what you have actually worked on to say that, okay, in the course of the past 2 sprints, this is what we did. We decided to add this feature. We decided to update this page. We decided to take some things out. We decided to include this column into this particular page on so module. Okay, and you demo it. Your developers will do the demoing in conjunction with yourself. So once you're done with the review, you do your retrospective. Retrospective is more or less like, what did we do? What did we do well in the past sprint? What did we not do well? What can we improve on? Then the most important one is the action items. The action items are the things that you can take away from the previous sprint that can add more value to the upcoming sprint to make it more efficient and effective. Then in the course of your sprint, you usually have what they call the daily stand-up. And when it comes to your sprint as a whole, when you're trying to look at the, the result, you want to think of things that will help you know that, okay, you did this well in the course of the sprint, and that's where you have the burn down. Not burn down chart is usually burn down and usually velocity. Those are the things that help you track those. And so, like I said, we won't talk so much so that we can delve deep into Jira itself. So the epics are the goals that you want to have, the outcome of the project, of each project. So take, for example, there's a feature you're trying to add. in the course of, sorry, I had it penned down somewhere, just 1 minute. So in the course of working on child apparel, we have things we want to achieve, which was shared, in the various groups. For some groups, they said they should have a search and filter. They said they should work on search and filter. On another, they said customer accounts and login. On another, home page, that's the landing page. On another, the checkout. So those are different epics you're trying to work on. The stories itself, now the stories are the functional requirements that you would work on that actually has the direct impact on the user benefit itself. That's the end goal of what you're trying to achieve. The to-dos are things that you probably, issues. They might be, they can be things that comes with subtags, maybe under a particular tax or under a particular story, you've written something, but it's linked. You want to link it as a subtax of this. So it can be linked to other issues, or maybe in the course of working, you see that, oh, there's something missing. Let me add it as a tag so that the developers can work on it. That's how we work. So bugs. So I kept on mentioning fail because I didn't want to mention the word bug until we get it. So once a tester, if you can recall that I mentioned how a developer was working on something and instead of what I asked them to do, they did something, a flip of it. So when the developer and when the QA was testing it, they saw that it did not meet the acceptance criteria that I wrote. At that point, that particular thing is a bug. So all tests that fail are usually referred to as a bug. So the moment it doesn't meet the need or the acceptance criteria that you have written down, penned down, it becomes a bug. So the bugs will be logged again. If you see that you have bug here, the bugs will be logged again as another thing, as a major thing, so that it can be worked on. And all these are usually used within Jira. Okay, the QA is the quality assurance analyst. They are also referred to as testers. Okay. So these are the other components. You have labels, you have backlogs. Like I said, we'll go into the practical exposure of that. And the last slide, I won't show us now. I want us to actually work to do this first. Yeah. We'll get this done first. And sorry, I need to stop sharing briefly so that I can share the site so that we'll work on the Jira itself. So what I'll do, I've already created a Jira page, but what I'll do is we'll first of all go through that, or better still, we can create one as a group so that we can see how to open a Jira account for your team and work with that. And for me to achieve this, I would need about 9 email addresses. Please, if it's possible, I'd like to have at least 2 from each team, so that we can work on the features that you delivered on in the course of the week.
So drop your email if you want to be added to the to the Jira board. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I think we are good.
Okay, awesome. Just give me a minute, please.
Yeah, I can see some questions in the chat, though I was away for a while, but we able to be attending to some of them, some of these questions as well. Someone is still asking that, is this documented separately or with the BRD? It all depends. I've worked in a project whereby we don't even develop BRD at all. I'm very sure Olayinka's experience is like that, because they work strictly on Agile. But I have worked both Agile, Waterfall, and Hybrid. So some places you will put it in your BRD, while some places you don't put it that way. So it all depends.
Yeah, that's correct. And it is worthy to note that BRD is usually focused on waterfall,
Yeah.
while this is usually utilized in an agile environment. We'll talk a little bit more on that as we move on, but let's just get our hands into this. So, like I said, I already opened this, but would start afresh, and so that we can carry everyone along. So please, if it's possible, group. So you can just tell me what group, so that I can just choose 2 emails from each group at least to work with.
It's like some of them put their group there. So
Okay. That's
Bim Bam Enoch. That's the first person from group 3.
So now I want to. Can we see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So because I already opened one, I want to open a new one so that we can see how, Jira itself, how you can open it for your team and add people on board, and would also utilize the previous one as well. Oh, sorry. Used the same email address. So you can choose to just put @ but like Mr. Gbenga was saying, in order for me not to be going back and forth, I just decided to use it to sign up with my Google address. Okay. So this is meant to be new Jira. Yeah. Sorry, just 1 moment. Is this going to work the way I assumed it to? Sorry, just 1 minute, please. Not taking me onto the board. So let me do this. Let me just log out. Okay, so sorry, this will not give us the experience I want it to give us, because I actually wanted us to see how it's been set up. So I'm just
maybe you should open another Chrome.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Just 1 minute, please.
Awesome. And please, we keep 1 slot in that Jira. Hopefully our QA engineer will be available next week and take us on the
Awesome.
software testing, because we also need to use that same Jira board.
Oh. Awesome. This for this. Give me just 1 minute to set this up so that we can.
So while doing that, let me also attend to some questions. This is also like in line with the first question about BRD. So in an agile environment, what will a BRD call? They don't have a BRD in an agile environment, but like I said, it all depends on the complaints, and again, depend on the project team, what you guys adopted to work with. So it was basically, you have your project, your user stories and acceptance criteria, and actually you don't do it outside of the software, the project management tool you are using. Either it is a Jira or Azure, devs up. It all depends. Though some teams, they use Excel. Excel is also very good if they have a good hands on it. But some organizations whereby they work like, let me say, hybrid. Somebody asked that question, what do you mean by hybrid? You know, basically we have the plan-driven and we have the change-driven. The plan-driven is the traditional one, which we call waterfall, and the change-driven, it is agile. That is the one that everybody say agile. So by the time you use some part of the plan-driven, that is the waterfall, and some part of the change-driven agile, that is what we call hybrid. You use some part of this, you use some part of this. Most of government projects, that is what they use, because they take a lot of time to plan and they need a lot of approvals before you go on. But by the time the project gets to the stage of execution, we move straight into agile, so that we just go have our sprint plan, and from there we go on with the project. So that's the meaning of hybrid. And in that situation, you might actually develop business requirement documents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Am I sharing the screen, please?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to take it from the scratch. So this is, I just, of course, Google Jira and it brought this up. So it's a free software that can accommodate as much as 10 users. But the moment you had the 11th user, you will need to pay. You need to pay for the use of it. So I'm just going to add, hopefully to accept this. Okay. I cancel this. So let me just use another plain email. Okay, so yeah, it is. So what do we want to name our site? So that whenever we come on Jira, that's what it's going to give us. So dots. So I know the previous one, I used BIM, Business Analysis Made Easy, but it will tell me it's taken. So I can go with, says it's taken, oh, sorry. Okay, so Business Analysis Made Easy groups. So of course, we know what the terms and conditions are. So we automatically go with agree. And it will just take a few moments to load it up. Okay, there we have it. So what name do we want to give our project? Please, I'm open to suggestions.
Okay, somebody put a BAME charge. Somebody put child apparel charge.
Okay.
Good.
So
Yeah.
let's do child apparel. Okay, and we great. So just a minute, please. So you can see here that you can actually integrate some of these tools with it, depending on how your company works or your team works. So you can integrate Slack to say that, okay, maybe you get notifications or updates or things on it. But in this case, we're going to skip that. And here we have our board. Interesting. It's good that we have this too, because so it has a quick start. So just in case we are, for those, so on a normal day, as we're actually working through the process of creation, we would have asked some questions like, if you are new on Jira, is your team new on Jira, your position, things like that. But I'm surprised it didn't ask for that. It just took us here, which is okay. So for those who just want to, walk around, quick starts, that, okay, guide me, what do I need to do? You can choose to say, okay, this is where I want to be. So what is this? This is quite different from the one I opened it out, and I'll also show us that. This is actually even new to me, but Jira is Jira irrespective. We can always work around that. Okay, 1 minute. This is more like it. So apparently, I think it opened Jira management something for us. That was why it was looking different. So in this case, now we have Chad Apparel. Why is it different? Just 1 minute, please. Let's see, because the boards are different. Okay, good. So this is it. This was part of the initial process it was meant to give to us when you're trying to open it. So, Agile also involves some of these things. So he's saying, do you want to have a Kanban? But so Kanban, so we have Kanban, we have Scrum, and there are few differences between those two. But now we are utilizing Scrum because we want to have a board, a backlog, and of course the roadmap. So we'll go with Scrum, use templates, select. So the question, is it team managed or company managed? We'll go with team managed. So the name of the team, again, let's go with this. What other option did we have for names?
BAME.
BAME. Okay. So we'll create the project. Okay, so this is more like it. Okay, so welcome to the use of Jira. So as you can see, you have, so the previous one I had, I don't know, I might see if I can switch between accounts so that I can show you what has been created, or notwithstanding, it's still the same thing. So you can see you have the roadmap, you have the backlog, and of course you have the board itself. So the roadmap is more or less like the high level description of what you want to achieve, depending on what you're looking to work on. The backlog will show you, if you recall, I mentioned that we have the product backlog, we have the sprint backlog, and the board will show you the progress of what you're doing on this. You can choose to add other columns. We'll walk through that if time permits us. We'll go through all those. But to start with, let's okay, before I go on, let me add people on this. Settings, user. Let me add the team members. So we have few names, sorry. So for group, okay. So ayotunde@yahoo.com.
Are you picking from the top?
Yes.
Okay. You've not picked from group 3. There is one from Isokan. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I obviously did not start from the top.
Hmm.
So I'll just start from the top.
That's about 4 or 5 messages before Ayotunde. We have
Yeah, I'll
It's-
still add.
yeah.
We had more people to this. So for those who I just sent an invite to you, please you can check your email, accept and join me on the spot. So I hope these emails are actually from different groups so that we can get participation from everyone. Okay, so. Not doing that. Not giving me the option to invite users. Okay. So I have 5 already. 2 more.
You picked the first one,
Yes, that's
Isokan.
yes, I already did.
Okay.
But in case I did not, I'll just leave one space. But I know I have another group, 3 person there. So I've sent out 5 invites already. Okay, so just 3 more. We're good. I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. Okay, there we go. I should have 8 people on this and 9 in general, in total. Okay, I can only see myself on the board. Those that got the invite, please can you click on it so that you can join me in here? I will get down to the work itself. When people are invited, yes, they can be removed. So there's another role called Jira administration. Those are the ones that, they have the know-how of all the whole system, on the Jira board itself. I won't be delving into that because that's not the scope of this training. I've gone a little bit into it, but that's not the scope. Okay, so based on, okay, good. So based on the different, so I actually created this. Let me see if I can switch accounts, hopefully. Let me see. So I actually created a number of these things already to enable us work fast. Let me see if it's possible. Yeah.
Has anyone joined?
Not yet.
Well, yeah, you can start. You can start.
Yeah, I will. I just wanted to walk through some of the things I thought I had here before. Chat. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so anyways, while we're waiting for them, would start this way. So let's have the high level description of what we're asked to deliver on. So starting with group 1, shopping cart. So you can have those. So if you can see this icon, can you see this icon? This is your epic. This is your the high level outcome of what you want this project to have. So at the end of this particular sprint, or at the end of the whole project, we want to ensure that we have a shopping cart that works the way it ought to, based on the description we have chosen to go with on the stories and using the stories and the acceptance criteria. So all you need to do is, let me start all over again. So once you come here, and you can create it anyhow. So once you come here, all you need to do is click on create, and you can have that imputed. So once I do this, because I want to have more, all I need to do is press enter, and it gives me the option to add the other ones. It also names this particular one shopping cart. It gives it BAME1. And that's how it works. You have BAME1, BAME2, just to more like an identifier that is associated with JIRA itself. So here we have, I'm just taking it from group 1, by the way. What's this? Let's go. FAQs. Sorry, just 1 minute. Just please give me a minute. Let me check my email too. So the people that I sent, I haven't received your email. I haven't seen anything. Someone is saying that you joined already. Okay, let's keep going though. Let's keep going. Sorry, someone just asked the question, is it advisable to write the user stories directly on Jira? So it depends on what works for you. But like one of my mentors will say, it's best to actually write it on a spreadsheet or somewhere before transferring it on the Jira board itself. So, 1 minute. 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 1 min So for some persons, they would like to work directly on the board. A number of my colleagues, they actually write their report because of what I've learned, and because it also helps me reduce error, because so I use OneNote. I like using OneNote a lot, but for those who love spreadsheets, all well and good. So I use OneNote to write a number of my things. That way I can edit, I can cancel. So when I see that it's very refined, I'll now transfer it to the board itself. It doesn't mean that I still will not make corrections on the board, but it just helps me to itemize a number of those things and work with it. Okay. So I'm just writing all the things we were given to work on, and those are the things that we would be working with today.
Group 1, I didn't receive your user story, or did you send it group 1? Other groups have received theirs, group 3, group 4, group 2. But seems like group 1 did not do it. But let's go with those that we have their user stories. And Olayinka, can please add the email I sent to you directly.
Okay, sir. I'll take a look at it. Let me quickly have this jotted down. Reviews and rating. This is missing. Supposed to be 12. Shopping cart. Customer accounts.
Okay. I think it was one of the people, Mayo, I think. He wrote it. Yeah, it's number 3.
Okay. Oh, is here? Someone is here already?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so please, you can fill it. Groups, please kindly fill that out. At least people can also experience the use of it. So please help yourself. We have 2 more to go. For group 3, I think we filled all for group 3. For group 4, we have shopping carts, FAQs, products management. We've done that. For group 2, we have home page, checkout, review. So for group 4, whoever is on the board can write product listing, payment gateway, in addition to what we currently have. Okay, good. So these are our epics. Like I mentioned, on this epic is what we want the outcome. So at the end of this particular epic shopping cart, what do we want to deliver on? But the shopping cart is what we want to see on the child apparel site at the end of the day. At the end of FAQ, what do we want to see? So under this FAQ, we'll have a number of stories, we'll have a number of tags, we have bugs, depending on how well the developer works and how detailed our acceptance criteria and how precise our user story is. So now, for us to actually have, so if you check here, if you check here, you see that it's empty, right? If you also check here, you see that nothing is going on. So in order for you to have something here, you can do it in 2 ways. You can either do it from here, writing the details of your user story to start with, or you can come here and choose what you want under this. You can, if you click on this plus button, it will tell you to create a child issue. Mind you, every user story, you create on Jira, every user story that is distinct is there called an issue or a ticket, depending on the terminology you want to use. So if you click on this, you can add the user story you want to accomplish at the end of this particular. Now, the user stories can be more than one. You can say, so now we want to deliver shopping carts. Let's think of the process of delivering on shopping carts. How will they get there? What are the things they will see? How will they get there includes how they navigate to it. So if they navigate to it, you can say the high level. So let's use, sorry, before I go ahead, I think group 4 has delivered on that. Please, just 1 minute. Let me open the things we worked on so that we can use it and it can be highly relatable. Okay, you asked me to add one email. Let me do that.
Yeah. That's not the email I asked you.
Oh, shoot. Oh.
This one, I send it directly to you if you check the charts.
Yeah, that's what I have here.
Let me drop it again.
You can drop it on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Might have to.
Sorry, we're going beyond our time.
Okay, let's quickly run through this. Okay, I've seen it. I thought I added the person already, but let me check.
Yeah, Biola is already in.
Sorry, I might have to take this person out so that I can. I'm sorry, Viola, I had to take you out so that I can accommodate 6. So that we can have the QA person who is coming on later on added. Oh shoot. Just 1 minute. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we're back on here. So for those in group 1, okay, yes, in fact, that's why we have people on board. So for those in group 1, based on what I just said, can you add your user stories on here? So group 1, I think, okay, group 1 did not submit, so we won't be going with group 1. Group 3, let's start with group 3. Group 3, one of your epic is search and filter. So can you, for those in group 3 that are on this board, please click on the create child issue, add 1 or 2, so that we would also try to add from the backlog and see how we can connect it from the backlog to the epic. This is one way to add. We'll use the other method to add a number. So please, for the different down the board, please add your child issue on the board. And yes, a number of people can work on it at the same time. So please, you don't have to wait for one person to finish before the other person taking it up. Okay. I hope we are doing that. While we're at that, let me see if I can do 1 or 2 from this end based on what I have. This is group 3. Okay, good, awesome. I can see someone has added something on. So you can see that this field is different from others. That's because there's something in here already under the use story, or anywhere the user decide to add it on. But once you see that this has changed, this is just, I will explain this as we go. but this is just to tell you that something has been added, something that needs to be worked on has been added already. So let's quickly run through this. Let's be fast, please, because that's the core of this, that we don't take too much time to dwell on. The people on the board, are you in any group? So if you are not in any of the groups, I might have to take us out because I need you participating in this.
I hope they are. I know the one I sent to you is in group 3.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can see group 3 is already doing something. Group 4, I can see they are doing something. I don't know what they are doing, but I can see group 3 and group 4 is doing something. Please, group 2 and group 1 kindly do something. If not, I might have to check those that are doing something and take out others so that we can. That's why I actually requested for 2 email per group that can be actively involved in this. Group 2.
And we like people that really work on this thing, because I can see the way the team were working during the week. I give it to you guys. You did fantastic. I just pray that we get a developer that will work with this. My goal is to bring in some stakeholders, some hiring managers, when we are able to showcase these products. And those of you that will be representing, you walk them through these projects. Remember, this is the Black Heritage Month. I want to use that to bring in my people to come and see what we're doing in our community. So please keep up the good work. Well, keep it up.
Oh, great one. See so much. I can see group 4 is also doing something. Group 4, group 3 and group 2. Am I correct? No, group 2 is not doing anything yet. So can I have, please, just 1 minute, please. Olu, are you on the board? Please, you can unmute and respond.
Yes, Olu is on the board.
Okay, so Olu, what group are you in? If you are in group 2, what you're required to do is click on the epic that was assigned to your group. So once you click on, oh, you're in group 3. So I think someone is already working on group 3, which is, I actually think I had 2 persons from group 3 already. I don't know if you're the 4th person, but notwithstanding, Olu, for group, so you just be a representative of group 2. Let me see what they have on their
help their ministry.
Yes, so Olu kindly had okay, good. I can see some things that are going on here. Good, we will speak to that. Interesting. Good, we'll speak to. So Olu, please kindly add, as a shopper, I want to view a list. So, or better still, please, can we have those that worked on this, because they have something they had worked on? It would be unfair to have someone else, work on their stories for them. Please, I might need to take some people out so that group 2. Please, if you're in group 2, kindly private chat me, please. You can do it on this space or on WhatsApp, either ways.
Someone says not in any group. Don't worry, we will drop the group link again on the wall at the WhatsApp platform. Then you can join any group.
Please, if you're in group 2, kindly let me know. I will check those who have done something, and I'll have to take out those who aren't doing anything, so that we can have group 3, group 2 on here to do that, because they actually worked on something, and it will be good for them to have it done, and we can walk through the process. Anyways, while we're at that, it's okay. I think we can make do with what we currently have. So if you go here now, based on what we have, you can see we have a number of stories. Now, if you see this icon, this green icon is telling you that this is a story. And for this one, you can choose to change it to either a tax or a bug. When you're doing your issues, when you're writing, so let me go back to this. So let's say we choose to go this way, and I want to add something. I can say that, okay, no, what I want to write is a bug, or what I want to write is a tax instead of a story. So the green icon is for the story, the purple one is for Epic. The red one is for the bug, and the blue one, of course, is for the tax. The beauty about it is, depending on the company you work with, you can have more, you can add more to this, but I won't go into that because that's the work of a Jira administrator. And since we are not here to go into that, but if time permits, time won't permit, going by what we have now, I would have shown us how to add additional icons. So take, for example, for my own company, we have analysis. We have, when you click on this, in addition to the custom for that they did, in addition to the ones that the default that we have here, we have analysis. I've seen a board where they have improvement. I've seen one where they have technical something. So you can choose to customize, you can add more to this icon in addition to the default that are there. So now when we go to the backlog, like I said, your stories, your bugs, your tags are usually shown on your backlog. The beauty about it is you can also create issue using either of this one from the backlog. I wanted us to go through this way so that we can see how it's done to start with. But you can do it from this end as well. You can create your issue using either this. If I click on create, you can see I can choose that, okay, what do I want to do? This is what I want to create. I can write it. Let me say, let me take one of the tools as a shopper. I want to view the list. A list of products so that I can collect some, to purchase. So there it is. So I click on enter. I have created what? A story. Now, because this story, if you look through, these ones are already linked to the Epic. You can see search and filter. You can see product management, and that's because it was created from the other board. You can see search and filter. You can see FAQs. This is already attached to this Epic. You can see sign up. You can say, but because I'm creating it from the backlog, I have to attach it to an Epic. So you can either come here to attach it to an Epic by clicking on this, and it will give you, details of a list of the Epic. So because these ones were already existing, it gave it as the top priority. But I can choose to view all and say, okay, what Epic is this going to go to? And going by what I have here from group 2 is on the landing page. So I click it and it automatically gives the Epic, to the landing page. Okay, are we together? I can see someone is working on something. Good. Please go on with that so that I can quickly rush through. We'll rush through at this point in time. We can't really go into so much details. Yes. So someone is asking for more. So Epic is the high-level outcome of what you want to deliver on your project. The high-level outcome. Say, at the end of this project, these are the things I want to have. Because, so you need to also take note of something. Epic are supposed to be concise and precise to the delivery of what you want to do. So all this one that we're having is as a customer, there are things that are related to the story, not to the Epic. So if you look at it, Epic, we chose the search and filter. So at the end of the delivery of this project, we want to ensure we have search and filter that is workable, right? At the end of it, that is workable to the client. So under search and filter, we can have, okay, I want to have search and filter tab or banner. I want search and filter to have this drop down. When they click on search and filter, this is what I want them to see. So those are the different stories you will have under the Epic. So they are the requirements, the stories are the requirements, the specification, the specific features of the functional requirement that you want to have at the end of the day. I hope that is good. All right, so let's go on. Time wouldn't permit us to do a lot of things, but I can see 2 persons have added shopping cart. Awesome. Thank you so much. So now I want to bring attention to something. You can see that under this backlog, you already have to do. Now, if you go on this board, you can see that to do is still not yet here. Now, the only way this board can reflect what you have is when you start a sprint. I can't, so let me just breeze through into all these things. So when you've created your stories, the stories, you can have more than, I can see, good, you can see under search and filter, we have more than 1 story. You can have as much as 10 stories under 1 epic. That is why it's the epic, so that when you want to search for something under search and filter, you can easily go to the epic and go through the stories and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. It's easy for you to walk around to filter. So under this backlog, there's something called prioritization. Depending on who the product owner or even you as a BA, you know, depending on what function you're delivering on your team, you would now prioritize. You now prioritize that, okay, well, based on what we discussed on our roadmap, as in these are the things that are of priority that we need to deliver on in the upcoming sprints. Now you now prioritize them and make sure the ones that you prioritize are at the top of this table. Because when you start the sprint, this is still your product backlog. You're going to move them to your sprint backlog. And that is when you create a sprint. Once you create a sprint, you have that flow here. You have the to-do. The to-do is just to show that there's what, do we still have time, sir? How many more minutes can you give us?
We already exceeded time, but let's see if we can just round up
So
in the
is it okay if we can have a small class during the week to just complete this?
Exactly. I want to suggest that, but
So
I
that we
know
don't rush it.
it will affect some folks in Nigeria, but it is what it is. We have to work during the days, and by the time we close from work, you guys may be on the bed. So we appreciate if we can, take time. Let's rush it, because the whole essence of this is to learn and to understand it. So I won't like us to rush it, because you need to. I'm trying to look at these stories to be sure that we even put the correct in there,
yes,
so that you know where you put your story, you know where you put your acceptance criteria.
I can see something.
So that you will not be putting everything.
For example,
here.
Can you see this? We are going to talk about this if we have time. So please let's.
So yeah, I think it's a good idea that we connect again during the week. I know the 8 weeks is not enough, but we're also trying to give back to the community. That's why if you check the Canada Corporation something, Success Career Hub is the registered business. That means we are meant for profits. But we're doing this to give back to the community. We've seen the need, and we are so passionate about our people. We are professionals. We shouldn't come here and not find fulfillment in what we are doing. So I believe we will continue on this. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to suggest, if any team, please, I know we're supposed to have done this earlier, let your team give us 2 emails for those that will represent your team. Because I want us to, we're going to start the sprints, and we're going to be having a kind of like daily scrum. I will be your scrum master, all the teams. So every day you will have to work on this. You have access now, but I'm going to work with Olayinka. If you are not representing your team, we will remove you. Don't be annoyed. We are all learning. But if you are representing your team, we'll keep you there. Like I said, I want 1 more space to be there. I am talking with our QA engineer. She's very good. She's my colleague. If she can also give us 2 hours next week, it may be kind of high level of software testing. I can teach it, but I always like somebody that this is their key responsibility to come, and so that they will be telling you the main thing. And I'm telling you, Tomi, she's something else in that field. So I hope she will give us that time next week. So we will add her, and she's going to walk us through how you can create your use case you report bug on Jira as well. So please, let's we will see the days that we work within the week, so that we bring. But today till tomorrow, I want every team, please, each group send the 2 names that will represent you. We bring them on board. I will give some instruction, and I want to be. We will conduct our daily scrum. 3 things happen during daily scrum. In the real life, it's just 15 minutes time box meeting, where you are going to tell me what you worked on and what you are going to work on. And if you have any issue, any impediment, we will just be dropping it on that WhatsApp group. Again, I will check with the developer. If they have the time, I'm bringing him on board as well. And he will also be working with us as we are going. We may not follow the correct Scrum this thing because of time, but if it's something they can start, put it up something, and we see what we're working on. So I appreciate everyone for coming today. Thanks for joining us. And lastly, before we go today, a lot of people have been asking for our next cohort training. Yeah, like I said, we actually run a training program for project manager, for business analyst, for Scrum Master. We run for data analyst. They just completed their own cohort now. We also have the software tester class going on currently, and BA. So we will be starting very soon. I will send out emails. If you are interested, yes, you can join. You can subscribe. If you need more information, you can reach out to me directly. We promise that we will give you the best. We will not just teach you theory. We'll give you the best. We'll make you too to become one of our mentor tomorrow. I am so proud of all people that we've worked together. Either they are my students or my colleague. They are doing extremely well, because we don't leave you hanging. We don't leave you hanging. Success Career Hub will be with you all the way, even when you get the job. Our students can testify. Although we don't share, we don't like people to come and be doing testimony, but we may actually invite 1 or 2 people to share their experience with us, with everyone. So thank you, everybody. Everybody, thank you for coming today. This video will be available in our link. If you have not been receiving email, if you register, that means your email address is not correct. And if you are not registered, yeah, we may drop the link. You register, be part of this. This community will continue even after these 8 weeks. We'll be bringing resources at least maybe once or twice a month. We'll try to keep supporting ourselves in our own little way. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, if it is still day, and if it is evening where you are, enjoy your evening and have a wonderful night rest. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Olayinka. I so much appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for the feedback. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Yeah, Olayinka, I know it's something, when you are doing something every day, it will be rice and beans for you. So it's what she does every day. So we communicate the next meeting within the week.